So are we all ready? Let's just say hello to everyone. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Lata. Kushi, good to have you. And thank you for your message. We will continue reading like this. We have Harshita here. Thank you, Harshita. Harshita is my next one. We are grooming to become a fellow. She's an intern. So she's from the same school which Kunal is, but she's senior to Kunal, but Kunal is senior to us here. So that's the way it is. Thank you, Harshita, for joining us. There's Manisha with us. There's Gurdeep, sorry, and that's it. Let's get going. Okay, you can read now.
Okay, red string and rigid chains. Youth is saying, well, I'll save my objections for later. Next, what about the task of friendship?
This is a friend relationship in a broader sense, away from work, as there is none of the compulsion of the workplace. It is a relationship that is difficult to initiate or deepen.
You have got that right. If there's a space like one's school or workplace, one can still build a relationship. But then it would be a superficial relationship that is limited to that space. To even attempt to initiate a personal friend relationship or find a friend in a place outside the school or workplace would be extremely difficult.
Do you have anyone whom you would call a close friend?
I have a friend, but I'm not sure I would call him a close friend.
It used to be the same for me. When I was in high school, I did not even try to make friends and spent my days studying Greek and German, quietly absorbing and reading philosophy books. My mother was worried about me and went on to consult my homeroom teacher. And my teacher told her, "There's no need to worry. He's a person who doesn't need friends." Those words were very encouraging to my mother and to me as well.
A person who doesn't need friends. So, in high school, you didn't have a single friend.
No, I did have one friend, he said. There's nothing really worth learning at a university. And in the end, he actually did not enter university. He went into seclusion up in the mountains for several years. And these days, I hear he's working in journalism in Southeast Asia. I haven't seen him in decades, but I have a feeling that if we got together again, we'd be able to hang out just as we did back then. A lot of people think that the more friends you have, the better. But I am not so sure about that. There's no value at all in the number of friends or acquaintances you have. And this is a subject that connects with the task of love. But what we should be thinking about is the distance and the depth of relationship.
Will it be possible for me to make close friends?
Of course, it will. If you change, those around you will change too. They will have no choice but to change. Adlerian psychology is a psychology of changing oneself, not a psychology for changing others. Instead of waiting for others to change or waiting for the situation to change, you take the first step, step forward yourself.
Hmm.
The fact is that you came like this to visit me in my room, and in you I have found a young friend.
I'm your friend?
Yes, because you are. The dialogue going on here is not counseling, and we do not have a work relationship. To me, you are an irreplaceable friend. Don't you think so?
I'm your irreplaceable friend? No, I won't think anyone about that right now. Let's just keep going. What about the last one, the task of love?
Think of it as divided into two stages. One, what are known as love relationships, and two, relationships with family, in particular, parent child relationships. We have discussed work and friendship, but of the three tasks, most likely it is the task of love that is the most difficult. When a friend relationship has turned into love, speech and conduct that was permitted between friends may no longer be permitted the moment they become lovers. Specifically, That would mean not permitting socializing with friends of the opposite sex, and in the same cases, just speaking on the telephone to someone of the opposite sex is enough to arouse jealousy. The distance is that close and the relationship that deep.
Yes, I suppose it can't be helped.
But Adler does not accept restricting one's partner. If the person seems to be happy, one can frankly celebrate that condition. That is love relationships, in which people restrict each other eventually fall apart.
Wait, that's an argument that can only lead to affirming infidelity. Because if one's partner were happily having an affair, you are saying that one should celebrate even that.
No, I'm not affirming someone having an affair. Think about it this way: the kind of relationship that feels somehow oppressive and strained when two people are together cannot be called love, even if there is passion. When one can think, whenever I am with this person, I can behave very freely, one can really feel love. One can be in a calm and quiet natural state without having feelings of inferiority or being beset with the need to flaunt one's superiority. That is what real love is like. Restriction, on the other hand, is a manifestation of the mind of attempting to control one's partner, and also an idea founded on a sense of distrust. Being in the same space with someone who distrusts you isn't a natural situation that one can put up with, is it? As Adler says, if two people want to live together on good terms, they must treat each other as equal personalities. Would you like to highlight this? You can highlight it here, Gurdeep. Yeah, just highlight it and you can mark it in a color. So, why we are highlighting this? Maybe this is a point of pause for us. And in today, I think this is what equality really is. Any opinion on that? Any thought, Lata, Shalini? What is your any thought on this, Lata?
Yeah, it's lovely. Um, I mean, I'm kind of assimilating, connecting. Um, so I'm in that moment now. Very true.
So it says good terms, what they've used here. Very interesting situation. They've not talked of relationship. They're talking of terms. They've used the word term here. So, and then the two key terms, two key words here are term and equality, equal.
Mhm.
I think that's an important part. This morning in the Times of India, there was an article today that today we call each other partners. You started saying she's my partner, he's my partner. You don't say she's my wife, she's my husband, she's my friend, she's my companion. People have started using the word partner more. I think that is a changing situation, because when you say partner, whether it's in enterprise or it's in let us say a space like where we are learning together, where we are partnering to do things together, you do away with the hierarchy, and that's where learning flows, that's where understanding flows. So that's why you see peer learning is like a partnership. Shalini, you want to add something to that?
And so, moreover, when we treat each other as equal, so we are not being judgmental also. So that space is there to share whatever is in one's mind, one can share with the other, because we are confident that the other person is not going to judge us. So this is really very important to be partners.
Yes. So there are two things: judgment and understanding. You look at a coin and toss it, you get judgment, and the other side is understanding, and judgment and understanding make a rolling coin. They have to go together. If there is judgment, there has to be understanding with it. Coin has to have two sides. The other side of judgment has to be understanding. So if you have an understanding, means you will not have judgment because the coin is flipped. Think of it this way. Look at the way I'm giving you the analogy. When you toss a coin, you can either see head or tail when it falls flat. If you see judgment, you won't have understanding. How beautiful that example is. And if you see understanding, you don't need judgment. Thank you for that. Yeah, let's go on. Okay, youth over.
Uh, yeah, okay.
However, in love relationships and marital relationships, there is the option of separating. So, even a husband and a wife who have been together for many years can separate if continuing the relationship becomes distressful. In a parent child relationship, however, in principle, this cannot be done. If romantic love is a relationship connected by a red string, then the relationship between parents and children is bound by in rigid chains, and a pair of small scissors is all you have. This is the difficulty of parent child relationship.
So, what can one do?
What I can say at this stage is you must not run away, no matter how distressful the relationship. You must not avoid or put off dealing with it, even if in the end you are going to cut it with scissors. First, you have to face it. The worst thing to do is just stand still with the situation as it is. It is fundamentally impossible for a person to live full life completely alone. And it is only in social context that the person becomes an individual. That is why in Adlerian psychology, self reliance as an individual and cooperation within society are put forth as hierarching objectives. Then, how one can achieve these objectives? On this point, Adler speaks of surmounting the three tasks of work, friendship, and love. The tasks of interpersonal relationship that a living person has no choice but to confront. So, we come to 3 points: work, friendship, and love. You have to confront them. They come without choice, they are all one way streets. The youth was still struggling to grasp this true meaning.
Don't fall for the life lie. Ah, it's getting confusing again. You said that I see other people as enemies and can't think of them as comrades because I'm running away from my life task. What was that supposed to mean anyway?
Suppose, for instance, that there is a certain Mr. A whom you don't like because he has some flaws that are hard to forgive.
Haha, if we are looking for people I don't like, there is no shortage of candidates.
But it isn't that you dislike Mr. A because you can't forgive his flaws. You had a goal of taking a dislike to Mr. A beforehand and then started looking for flaws to satisfy that goal.
That's ridiculous. Why would I do that?
So that you could avoid an interpersonal relationship with Mr. A.
No way. That's completely out of the question. It's obvious that the order of things is backwards. He did something I didn't like. That's why, if he hadn't, I would have no reason for taking a dislike to him.
No, you are wrong. It's easy to see if you think back on the example of separating from a person whom one has been in a love relationship with. In relationships between lovers or married couples, there are times when, for a certain point, one becomes exasperated with everything one's partner says or does. For instance, she doesn't care for the way he eats. His slovenly appearance at home fills her with revulsion, and even his snoring sets her off, even though until a few months ago, none of it had even bothered her before.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
The persons feel this way because at the same stage she has resolved to herself, I want to end this relationship. And she has been looking around for the material with which to end it. The other person hasn't changed at all. It is her own goal that has changed. Look, people are extremely selfish creatures who are capable of finding any number of flaws and shortcomings in others whenever the mood strikes. Whenever the mood strikes them, a man of perfect character could come along and one would have no difficulty in digging up some reason to dislike him. That's exactly why the world can become a perilous place at any time. And it's always possible to see everyone as one's enemies.
So I'm making up flaws in other people just so that I can avoid my life task, and more so I can avoid interpersonal relationships, and I am running away by thinking of other people as my enemies.
That's right. Adler indicated the state of coming up with all manner of pretexts in order to avoid the life tasks and called it the life lie.
Okay,
Yes, it's a severe term. One shifts one responsibility for the situation one is currently in to someone else. One is running away from one's life tasks by saying that everything is the fault of the other people or the fault of one's environment. It's exactly the same as with the story I mentioned earlier about the female student with the fear of blushing. One lies to oneself and one lies to people around one too. When you really think about it, it's a pretty severe term.
but how can you conclude that I'm lying? You don't know anything about what kind of people I have around me or what kind of life I lead, do you?
True, I don't know anything about your past, not about your parents or your elder brother either. I know only one thing,
And what's that?
the fact that you are the one who decided your lifestyle and no one else.
Ah,
If your lifestyle were determined by other people or your environment, it would certainly be possible to shift responsibility. But we choose our lifestyle ourselves. It's clear where the responsibility lies.
so you are out to condemn me, but you are calling people liars and cowards and saying that everyone is my responsibility.
You must not use the power of anger to look away. This is very important point. Adler never discusses the life tasks or life lies in terms of good and evil. It is not morals or good and evil that we should be discussing, but the issue of courage.
Courage again.
Yes, even if you're avoiding your life tasks and clinging on to your life lies, it isn't because you are steeped in evil. It is not an issue to be condemned from a moralistic standpoint. It is only an issue of courage.
Let me put off my notifications. Just a second. From the psychology of possession to the psychology of practice. Youth. So, in the end, what you're talking about is courage. That reminds me, last time you said that Adlerian psychology is a psychology of courage.
I will add to that by saying that Adlerian psychology is not a psychology of possession, but a psychology of use.
So, it's that statement. It's not what one is born with, but what use one makes of that equipment.
That's right. Thank you for remembering it. Freudian etiology is a psychology of possession and eventually arrives at determinism. Adlerian psychology, on the other hand, is a psychology of use, and it is you who decides it.
Adlerian psychology is a psychology of courage, and at the same time, it is a psychology of use.
We humans are not so fragile as to simply be at the mercy of etiology, which is cause and effect, it's past tense, etiology traumas. From the standpoint of teleology, which is future, telefocal, looking ahead, we choose our lives and our lifestyles ourselves. We have the power to do that.
But honestly, I do not have the confidence to overcome my inferiority complex. And you might say that that's a life lie. But I probably won't ever be able to break free from the inferiority complex.
Why don't you think so?
Maybe what you are saying is right. Actually, I'm sure it is. And courage really is what I am lacking. I can accept the life lie as well. I'm scared of interacting with people. I don't want to get hurt in interpersonal relationships. and I want to put off my life tasks. That's why I have all these excuses ready. Yes, it's exactly as you say. But isn't it what you are talking about a kind of spiritualism? All you are really saying is, you have lost your courage, you have got to pluck up your courage. It's no different from the silly instructor who thinks he is giving you advice when he comes up and slaps you on the shoulder and says, cheer up. Even though the reason I'm not doing well is because I can't just cheer up.
So, what you're saying is that you would like me to suggest some specific steps.
Yes, please. I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. I've been told that I'm all out of courage. But I can't just get a refill of courage as if I were filling up my tank with fuel.
All right, but we've gone quite late again tonight, so let's continue this next time.
You aren't running away from it, right?
Of course not. Next time we'll probably discuss freedom.
Not courage?
Yes, it will be a discussion of freedom, which is essential when talking about courage. Please give some thought to the matter of what freedom is.
What freedom is? Fine. I'm looking forward to next time.
So our second night is done. We are now done with interpersonal relationships. We have been through the trauma of what interpersonal relationships do. Summary of the second night was we talked about how understanding comes about, and most of your thoughts are your figments of imagination. So we don't have to be judgmental, and that is the key. That's the way I can summarize the chapter with today's reading and the long read we've had. We will move on to the next chapter. So one whole week has gone. He's come. Is he doing successive nights or is he doing weeknights in this book?
Week's night.
Weeks night. Okay. So he's coming along, and now they are sitting down again together. We sit together like this once a week, but they sit together every night, I think. 2 anguish weeks later, no, it's 2 weeks later, the youth paid another visit to the philosopher's study. What is freedom? Why can't people be free? Why can't I be free? What is the true nature of whatever it is that is constraining me? The assignment he has been given was weighing heavily on him, but it seemed impossible to find a convincing answer. The more he thought about it, the more the youth began to notice his own lack of freedom.
Deny the desire for recognition. So you said that today we would discuss freedom.
Yes, did you have time to think about what freedom is?
Yes, actually, I thought about it at great length.
And did you arrive at any conclusions?
Well, I couldn't find any answers, but I did find this. It's not my own idea, but something I came across at the library, a line from a novel by Dostoevsky. Money is a coined freedom. What do you think? Isn't coined freedom a rather refreshing term? But seriously, I was fascinated to find this one line that drove right to the heart of this thing called money.
I see. Certainly, if one were to speak in a very general sense of the true nature of that which is brought about by money, one might say that is freedom. It is an astute observation, to be sure, but you shouldn't go so far as to say freedom, therefore, is money, would you?
It's exactly as you say. There probably is freedom that can be gained by way of money. And I'm sure that freedom is greater than we imagine. Because in reality, all the necessities of life are dealt with through financial transactions. Does it follow then that if one possesses great wealth, one can be free? I don't believe that is the case. I would certainly like to believe that it is not the case, and that human values and human happiness cannot be bought with money.
Well, say for the moment that you've obtained financial freedom. And then, though you have gained great wealth, you have not found happiness. At that time, what problems and privations would remain for you?
It would be the interpersonal relationships you have been mentioning. I have thought deeply about this matter. For instance, you might be blessed by great wealth, but not have anyone who loves you. You have no comrades whom you could call friends, and you're not liked by anyone. This is a great misfortune. Another thing I can't get out of my head is word bonds. Every one of us is tangled up and writhing in these strings that we call bonds, having to be attached to a person you don't even care for example, or to always watch out for your awful boss mood swings. Imagine if you could be released from such petty interpersonal relationships, how easy things would be. But no one can really do such a thing. Wherever we go, we are surrounded by other people and we are social individuals who exist in our relations to other people. No matter what we do, we cannot escape the strong rope of our interpersonal relationships. I see now that Adler's statement, all problems are interpersonal relationship problems, is a great insight.
Come back to that. Okay, it is a crucial point. Let's dig a little deeper. What is it about interpersonal relationship that is robbing us of our freedom?
Last time you spoke about whether one thinks of other people as enemies or as comrades. You said that if one becomes able to see others as one's comrades, one's way of looking at the world should change as well. That certainly makes sense. I felt quite convinced the other day when I left here. But then what happened? I gave the matter some careful thought and I noticed that there are aspects of interpersonal relationships that can't be completely explained.
Like what?
The most obvious one is the existence of parents. I could never think of parents as enemies. During my childhood, especially, they were my greatest guardian who raised and protected me. In that regard, I am sincerely grateful. Still, my parents were strict people. I told you about this last time that they always compared me to my older brother and refused to recognize me. And they have constantly made comments about my life, saying I should study more, not make friends with people like this or that, get into this university at the very least, get this kind of job, and so on. Their demands put a lot of pressure on me and were certainly bonds.
Then what did you end up doing?
It seems to me that until I started university, I was never able to ignore my parents' intentions. I was anxious, which was unpleasant. But the fact of the matter is that my wishes always seem to end up overlapping with my parents. My place of work I chose myself, however.
Now that you mention it, I haven't heard about that yet. What kind of work do you do?
I'm now working as a librarian at a university library. My parents wanted me to take on my father's printing plant like my brother did. Because of this, ever since I started my current job, our relationship has been somewhat strained. If they weren't my parents and instead were enemy like presences in my life, I probably wouldn't have minded at all. Because no matter how much they might have tried to interfere, I could always just ignore them. But as I have said, parents to me are not enemies. Whether or not they are comrades is another matter. But at the very least, they are not what I would call enemies. It's a relationship that is much too close to be able to just ignore their intentions.
When you decided which university would go to in line with your parents' wishes, what sort of emotion did you feel with regard to your parents?
It's complicated. I did have feelings of resentment, but on the other hand, there was this sense of relief too. You know, that I could get them to recognize me if I went to that school.
You could get them to recognize you?
Come on, let's stop the roundabout leading questions. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. It's so called desire for recognition. It's interpersonal relationship problems in a nutshell. We human beings live in constant need of recognition from others. It is precisely because the other person is not an abhorrent enemy that one wants recognition from him, isn't it? So, yes, that's right. I wanted to be recognized by my parents.
I see. Let's talk about one of the major premises of Adlerian psychology regarding this matter. Adlerian psychology denies the need to seek recognition from others.
It denies the desire for recognition.
There is no need to be recognized by others. Actually, one must not seek recognition. This point cannot be overstated.
No way. Isn't desire for recognition a truly universal desire that motivates all human beings?
Anyone wants to answer that question? Lata, Shalini?
So everything, if you talk about right from our childhood, everything is like based on recognition. We seek validation from our parents, from our peers. When we start working, again we seek validation from our seniors. So it's a constant, like constantly we're seeking validation from others. And once we get recognition, so it gives a kind of a moral boost for us. So this is how the world goes about, sir.
Let's find out. Let's find out. What you say is right, actually, but bottom line is if you earned your marks and got your certificates, have you found your happiness? Today, marks and certificates are so called recognition. So let's find out what happens ahead. Okay, flip the page. Do not live to satisfy the expectations of others. That's the answer. So when you talk about recognition, what is happening? You're satisfying the expectations of others. मेरा बेटा महान बनेगा, मेरी बेटी pilot बनेगी. It's this egocentric human nature which is essential. And we are not used to accepting that every individual being is special and unique. So let's go ahead. Being recognized by others is certainly something to be happy about. But it would be wrong to say that being recognized is absolutely necessary. For what does one seek recognition in the first place? Or to put it more succinctly, why does one want to be praised by others?
It's simple. It's through being recognized by others that each of us can truly feel we have value. It is through recognition from others that one becomes able to wipe away one's feeling of inferiority. One learns to have confidence in oneself. Yes, it's an issue of value. I think you mentioned it last time that the feeling of inferiority is an issue of value judgment. It's because I could never get recognition from my parents that I have lived a life tainted by feelings of inferiority.
Now, let's consider a familiar setting. For example, let's say you've been picking up litter around your workplace. The thing is, no one seems to notice at all. Or if they do, no one has given you any appreciation for what you've done, or even said a single word of thanks. Well, will you keep on picking up litter from now on?
That's a difficult situation. I suppose that if no one appreciates what I'm doing, I might stop.
Why?
Picking up litter is for everyone. If I'm rolling up my sleeves and getting it done, but I don't get a word of thanks, I guess I'd probably lose my motivation.
This is the danger of the desire for recognition. Why is it that people seek recognition from others? In many cases, it is due to the influence of reward and punishment education.
A reward and punishment education?
If one takes appropriate action, one receives praise. If one takes inappropriate action, one receives punishment. Adler was very critical of education by reward and punishment. It leads to mistaken lifestyles in which people think if no one is going to praise me, I won't take appropriate action, and no one is going to punish me, I'll engage in inappropriate actions too. You already have the goal of wanting to be praised when you start picking up litter. And if you aren't praised by anyone, you'd either be indignant or decide that you'll never be such a thing again. Clearly, there's something wrong with this situation.
No, I wish you wouldn't trivialize things. I'm not arguing about education. Wanting to be recognized by people you like, to be accepted by people close to you, it's a normal desire.
You are badly mistaken. Look, we are not living to satisfy other people's expectations.
What do you mean?
You are not living to satisfy other people's expectations, and neither am I. It is not necessary to satisfy other people's expectations.
That is such a self serving argument. Are you saying one should think only about oneself and live self righteously?
In the teachings of Judaism, one finds a view that goes something like this. If you are not living your life for yourself, then who is going to live it for you? You are living only your own life. When it comes to who you are living it for, of course, it's you. And then, if you're not living your life for yourself, who could there be to live it instead of you? Ultimately, we live thinking about I. There is no reason that we must not think that way.
So, you are afflicted by the poison of nihilism, after all. You say that ultimately we live thinking about I, and that's okay. What a wretched way of thinking.
It is not nihilism at all. Rather, it's the opposite. When one seeks recognition from others and concerns oneself only with one is judged by others, in the end, one is living the other people's lives.
And what does that mean?
Wishing so hard to be recognized will lead to a life of following expectations held by others. People who want you to be this kind of person. In other words, you throw away who you are really are and live other people's lives. And please remember this: if you are not living to satisfy other people's expectations, it follows that other people are not living to satisfy your expectations. Someone might not act the way you want him to, but it doesn't do it get angry. That's only natural.
No, it's not. That is an argument that overturns our society from its very foundation. Look, we have the desire for recognition, but in order to receive recognition from others, first we have to recognize others ourselves. It is because one recognizes other people and other systems of values that one is recognized by others. It is through this relationship of mutual recognition that our very society is built. Your argument is an abhorrent, dangerous way of thinking, which will drive human beings into isolation and lead to conflict. It's a diabolical solicitation to needlessly stir up distrust and doubt.
Haha, you certainly have an interesting vocabulary. There's no need to raise your voice. Let's think about this together. One has to get recognition, or one will suffer. If one doesn't get recognition from others and from one's parents, one won't have confidence. Can such a life be healthy? So one could think God is watching, so accumulate good deeds. But that and the nihilist view that says there is no God, so all evil deeds are permitted. So this is the definition of nihilism. There is no God, all deeds are permitted. I thought I would mention this because nihil word is coming again and again now, and it's an interesting word which we don't normally use in our normal vocabulary. So this is nihilism, unless you've read psychology and you have used all these terms. Is any just for curiosity, anyone here with a psychology study? Shalini, Latha? No? Oh, great. Then we're all together in a book of psychology. That's even more fun. Because what we're really reading is psychology. And I think this is very beautifully put from a perspective of us people who don't know the nuances of deep psychology. We obviously haven't read Freud or we haven't read Adler. Neither have we read Plato and Socrates. And I'm sure next generation won't even know the names of these people if you ask me. Sorry, I don't want to be nihilistic, but matter of fact is, someone mentioned the other day that, well, this art of reading will go with your generation. So anyway, I hope that doesn't happen. It's not happened in 100 years. So I don't want to be nihilistic, but matter of fact is, let's go ahead. Even supposing that God did not exist and that we could not gain recognition from God, we would still have to live this life. Indeed, it is in order to overcome the nihilism of a godless world that it is necessary to deny recognition from other people.
I don't care for all this talk about God. Think more straightforwardly and more plainly about the mentality of real, everyday people. What about the desire to be recognized socially, for example? Why does a person want to climb the corporate ladder? Why does a person seek status and fame? It's the wish to be recognized as somebody important by the society as a whole. It's the desire for recognition.
Then, if you get that recognition, would you say that you really found happiness? Two people who have established their social status truly feel happy?
No, but that's
When trying to be recognized by others, almost all people treat satisfying other people's expectation as a means to that end. And that is in accordance with the stream of thought of reward and punishment education that says one will be praised if one takes appropriate action. If, for example, the main point of your job turns out to be satisfying other people's expectation, then that job is going to be very hard on you because you'll always be worried about other people looking at you and fear their judgment, and you are repressing your I-ness. Interesting, I-ness. It might come as a surprise to you, but almost none of my clients who come for counseling are selfish people. Rather, they are suffering from trying to meet the expectations of the other people, the expectations of their parents and teachers. So, in a good way, they can't behave in a self centered fashion.
so I should be selfish.
Do not behave with regard for others. To understand this, it is necessary to know about the idea of Adlerian psychology, known as separation of tasks.
Separation of task. That's a new term. Let's hear about it.
The youth's irritation had reached its peak. Deny the desire for recognition. Don't satisfy other people's expectations. Live in a more self centered way. What on earth was this philosopher saying? Isn't the desire for recognition itself people's greatest motivator for associating with each other and going about the formation of society? The youth wondered, what is this separation of tasks idea? Doesn't win me over. I won't be able to accept this man or Adler for that matter for the rest of my life. You want to fix a bookmark? Are we all okay? You want to shoot another chapter?
Shall I put a bookmark here?
Yeah, let to put next page. Bookmark on the next page. Yeah, flip now. You have no, that's not the bookmark. There's a label there. Click that label below the three dots. Below the three dots. Below the three dots. Yeah, yeah. This is the bookmark. It turns blue when you click it. And to be sure that we don't lose it, I normally do a screenshot of this and keep.
I'll take a screenshot.
Yeah, yeah, it's just easy. And a screenshot is on the screen. Or I go a step further, I put it in WhatsApp. It just makes it easy next time that someone else can drag it out. I think we'll pause here because the other chapter will not finish in 5 minutes. Anyone wants to say anything? Lata?
So I feel that once we stop seeking validation from others, it is a kind of freedom. When we do away seek.
Yeah, you actually describe freedom so beautifully. In one sentence, you describe freedom. And today, when the courts debate freedom, I think they perhaps have missed the bus. Freedom is not what everyone thinks, that I'm free to say what I want. Freedom is when you're not afraid to say what you want. Is that right, Shalini?
Yes, sir.
So
And
you
I think that when we seek validation from others, maybe we are underconfident. So,
yeah,
so if I'm confident and if I'm secure, so I will not seek validation from others.
yeah, and that brings me to that inferiority complex. The superiority complex, the inferiority complex. Few people remember with a flashback, is that inferiority complex in you which shines out and you lose your freedom, you lose yourself. So that's the way it is. Any other reflection from anyone?
But I was like wondering, like, why does it happen at all? Feeling inferior. I mean, it probably could be because someone is not sure yet. Someone is doing it for the first time. So, it could be because of that. So, I mean, when we have such apprehensions, we need validation. So, we know, okay, that is the way it has to be done. So I was also thinking of that.
So,
And
Lata, I appreciate what you're saying. Think of a little child who one day flips over and understands that I can flip over. He's not doing it for the child is not doing it for validation from mom or dad. But mom or dad may react in a way as if they are validating. Then the child will crawl one day and the child will stand one day and child will hold things and walk. Not doing it for validation. Neither is the child doing it for inferiority or superiority. The child is doing purely because the child is an environment and the child sees everyone can stand, so I'll also stand. So it's a conditioning that has brought us together. And what you're saying is obviously the
Absolutely.
way the system works. Yeah.
It
and
really makes us think.
maybe, yeah,
Yeah. The
I
whole
want
idea
to add
of meeting
on.
is that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to add on. Maybe we are not aware of our own capabilities, and we want others to believe in our capabilities, and we want that kind of motivation from others, that kind of push from others, so that we develop confidence and we start believing in ourselves.
But then
And
that
that
is what
can
leads to
be,
inferiority complex. That is what leads to inferiority complex, because if we keep looking for validation from others
And
and
you
we
don't
don't
find
get it for whatever reason, so then it is like, oh, we are not up to the task. We are not equal to others. We are inferior to others. So that is what leads to the inferiority complex. And some people, when they try to cover up their inferiority complex, they try to pretend that they were very superior and everybody else is very inferior. So that becomes an inferiority complex, superiority complex. Sorry. So both superiority and inferiority complexes happen because we want validation, and when we don't get the validation, we are very unhappy as well. If we can validate ourselves, the need doesn't arise. You don't need anybody to approve or disapprove of you, and you are very confident in yourself that okay, whatever you do is good enough. So
So
that is
thank yeah, that's
that's where everybody.
Mhm.
So validation is not really required, and unfortunately, we have been conditioned that way from our childhood. So we do that to our babies as well, which is very wrong. The first time they walk, we start clapping as if it's a big thing they've done, and they're very surprised also, and they're very happy as well that the parent is so happy. But then that is not required. They are doing what is natural, and of course we are happy. Of course we are happy, but there's no need to show it off in such a manner that clap and then all those tie and all those things that we do, right? Validation is actually not required.
So thank you. That's Minakshi from Arthur Foot Academy. Arthur Foot Academy is a special project of the Good Schools Alliance. Just for the knowledge of all of us, we are a motley crew of special projects in schools. That's what makes Good Schools Alliance very special. There are 20 mainstream schools and there are 25 special schools. Why they are special schools? Because they are aspirational. And they are the ones who are doing all the work which they feel they are getting left behind from the so called good schools. So, what you're talking about trying to catch up on expectations and nuances is there in the system. And that is a flaw the education system has, which we all understand today. And that's why we are all talking of reinventing the way we teach. I have been reading a very fancy book which I shared somewhere today. It's called The Human Edge in the AI Age. And that's the next book which I shortlisted for our read after a few books I've just read. And the interesting bit about all this is that, well, yes, the world is around us, and only those who walk alone are the ones who make it. So have confidence in yourself. So the child learns to walk alone. No one tells the child you will see the other child or you won't be able to walk. The child finds the strength and the legs herself or himself. So you'll find your strength and it will happen over a period of time. So on that note, it's time to say bye bye. It's been a wonderful Saturday evening. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Lata. Thank you, Minakshi. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Manisha. Manisha, safe travels. I hope you reach back home.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You are still in the car or you've reached back home?
Yes, yes, I'm traveling back.
Okay, good. So Manisha was on a day trip out. You can hear the horn in the car. So that's the passion we have. So from a phone, you don't want to miss it. So let's just grab it, carry a charger along, and find a charging point in the car. At this time of the day, that's what happens to most devices. So on that note, I think I just want to mention two things here. One, I think yesterday we had a very good brewing knowledge session, which to me, if you ask me, is the best session I've had in the last 5 years of my being here. And I thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it. The conversation which Gurdeep so mastered. I'm not giving you validation. You did a great job in the conversation with Dr. Manu Kapoor, and he's a very seasoned senior professor. It was not easy to talk to a person of that depth of knowledge and learning. So, what happened after that conversation is what I want to bring as a second thing. So, there is a possibility he will set up a vehicle to collaborate with us as to help us improve our teaching and learning system. That's what we are hoping to. And we are purely community driven. It's like someone mentioned, Arey, इस organization में तो कोई है ही नहीं. I said, what do you mean कोई है नहीं? सब है. I said, you're looking for hierarchy of organization where 20 people are employed for their salary. I said, here we are all here for our own self. We're not here for anyone else. So if I'm there for a job and a salary, I'm there for someone else. So when we come here, we come simply because we feel that we want to be here, one. And second, we appreciate what we all are doing together. So on that note, thank you for a wonderful evening. Do on this weekend, read the newsletter and find that video. And more than the video, it's important to read the show notes of the video because that's a lot of effort on our part to put together, transcribe them, use AI to correct them. And what Manu Kapoor mentioned yesterday about using AI, well, that's the way we have quietly used it. We have not used it the way you people are using. We have used it the different way. So you experience it because you see in our system, and our systems are totally AI supported. If there would have been no AI, there wouldn't have been us at the Learning Forward Foundation. So, Good School Alliance, Learning Forward Foundation, and a large part of my work and life has been facilitated with AI and media and social media. So, thank you once again. Happy travels. Reach back home, cook a meal, enjoy the evening with your loved ones. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again
you.
for
Bye, everyone. Good evening. Thank
Good
you.
evening.